Let's take a look at your Cowboys here. One of the storylines this week ties back to Cowboys and Broncos. We referenced it earlier in the first episode of the week, but your underdog/over Cowboys betting hack has been arguably the most profitable thing we followed this season. What are you seeing this week with Cowboys Broncos?
You pretty much can't go wrong with it. I mean, I think a couple more weeks and it will guarantee profit on the season, if not already has. Underdog and the over has hit in all but one game for the Cowboys. That's the spread and the total. Same game parlay. It's going to be plus money every single time because of the lines. And yeah, I mean, it's probably close to 2-1 on average. And let's see, 5 times. So if you're putting 1 unit on it, that's 8 units in 8 weeks pretty much. So you're cruising, and that's only if it's about 2-1. It's probably even a little better. But the Dimers model backs it this week, 54.2% to the over, 58.9% for the underdog. That is Dallas at plus 3.5. It's going to be an interesting one. Something's got to give here. We have an absolute high-octane Cowboys offense, one of the best in the league, against the absolute top tier Broncos defense, 3rd in total yards, tied for the fewest touchdowns allowed. They're just not even letting you score. Couldn't be more opposite for the Cowboys, allowing over 400 yards per game, 24 touchdowns, the absolute second most in the league. So you're kind of getting this rock and a hard place meeting, which you think will probably even out. But I think you're going to see a more competitive, higher scoring game despite the Broncos defense, because that Cowboys defense, except for last week, has just shown basically no ability to stop anyone. And that was against the Commanders B squad. You have to assume that the Broncos are putting up the points. The Cowboys are going to be, if they're chasing, they're going to be throwing all the time. This is already a very pass heavy offense. I know it's a big stout defense for the Broncos, but I am liking the over, and I'm going to stick with the trend in this one. It's 5-1 on the year. They crushed the over in the highest total of the season in the entire NFL. So I'm happy to roll with it. Prop angles, of course. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Greg.
No, just there's no reason not to. That's where I'm at. I mean, especially when the model backs it up, right? It'd be one thing if we're coming on here like this is a trend we've noticed, it's fun, it would still be notable, but like the model shows legitimate value in this, which is why we're just screaming it to the heavens so much. So I've had fun. You put me onto this like 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and it's basically been the first play I add to my card every single week, and it's been one of the more sweat-free decisions on a week-to-week basis that I've been monitoring. So let's keep an eye on it, but I'm glad to see the model backs it up. Can I go with the storyline that I've got my eye on next, Dave?
Of course.
Talk this Bears backfield for a moment. So we mentioned Monangai, Kyle Monangai, the Bears backup running back. He got a feature in your waiver wire segment on the first episode of this week. Reminder, if you don't listen to both episodes of this podcast, do it, especially if you're a fantasy football player, because Dave's waiver wire helps you try to figure out who you need to be adding week to week right now. We usually do that in the first episode of the week. But Monangai is a guy I've had on my roster for fantasy football all season long, under the belief that at some point there's going to be this big emergent breakout performance for the rookie running back. I think it could be this week. Now, it also could be a 2-headed monster week because the Bears take on the Ravens, who have one of the more exploitable rushing defenses in the entire league. The Ravens allow 134 yards per game on the ground, 9 touchdowns given up to running backs or rushing touchdowns this year. That's a bottom 3 mark in the entire league. As far as projections go, we have DeAndre Swift, the starter, projected for 61.5 rushing yards. We have Monangai projected for 22.5 rushing yards. Swift projected for 21.5 receiving yards. Monangai projected for 7 receiving yards. A 41% anytime touchdown probability for Swift. A 19.5% anytime touchdown probability for Monangai. So our model still favors Swift, and I certainly am not against the idea that Swift will also have a big day here. But just a couple things to note on the situation of this week. Swift is listed as questionable. He did not practice on Wednesday. There's no lines up for Monangai right now. So I think we could see a situation where Swift is a late scratch. Even if he's not a late scratch, I would expect there could be some value on Monangai to have a larger role, even if the lines don't show that, and Swift is just available to play. To me, I mentioned it in the waiver wire segment, Ben Johnson has always been a 2 running back guy. That goes back to before they even drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. But the reason the Detroit Lions with Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator, the reason they drafted a running back in the first 15 picks of the draft was because they want the power back and the explosive big play guy. In this Bears offense, Swift is very clearly the big play breakaway guy. Monangai is the ram his head into a wall, lean on him for carries guy. And he has started getting more and more of a workload each week, even with Swift fully available. He really went from, a couple snaps here and there guy in week 1 to really playing a lot of the football game in recent weeks. I think this is trending in the right direction. I think it is trending towards a full-time backfield split at some point, even when both are healthy. Now you get the added boost this week. The Swift might be out, might be unavailable. If you want to back Monangai, I think there's more than enough reason to do so. But even if Swift is healthy, I would play them both to find the end zone in this game. You've seen the Ravens just get pummeled. Lose non-competitive football games this year. If the Bears get a 2-3 touchdown lead in this game, I would think it's almost entirely Monangai in the 3rd and 4th quarter. If they get anywhere near the red zone, I would think they punch it in with their back, who found the end zone for the first time in his career last week, by the way. So Swift and Monangai gets my approval, but especially Kyle Monangai. And it won't be the last time this episode you hear me say that.
Yeah, I love that, Greg. Really pretty sharp stuff there. And I'm looking, Swift's line right now is 52.5 rushing yards. He does not have a receiving line up, and he's been pretty active as a receiver this season. Only 3 games under 20 yards, but 5, 3, 4, 6, 3 targets in those games. Coming off of back-to-back 100-yard games, and his line is at 52.5. So that should tell you that they're already anticipating Monangai work. They don't have a lineup right now because if it's too high, no one's going to bet it, right? They're going to hit the under. And if it's too low, they're going to get cooked if Swift is ruled out, and they then have to put up proper Monangai lines. So I would be ready to play Monangai, especially if Swift is playing. Like you said, I just think you can do a little line reading here, and knowing how Ben Johnson is want to deploy running backs, probably a really good angle to attack. And I definitely like the 2 touchdown angle, or 1 per touchdown rather. I'll be looking at that. And let me just see right quick. Yeah, you got Kyle Monangai plus 400 for a touchdown. I would just take him straight up.
Yeah,
playing together for fun, but plus 400, man.
Yeah. 4-1 odds is crazy given the role that he's already been emerging into and the health questions for Swift. It's probably my favorite play of the week. So, all right, there you have it. 2 angles for you to watch. Our underdog over trend in the Cowboys game against the Broncos this week. And then the Bears backfield is what I am keeping my eye on.